Hey guys, Cody Crawford here with Founders Group again. What I want to do today is kind of follow up on a post that I had made a few days ago that kind of introduced a lot of comments, a lot of feedback, and a little bit of criticism. And I guess the reason why it did is because it's so contrary to everything that we're taught as Americans when it comes to investing and retirement planning. And what I said was that the biggest mistake that I see people make in retirement is that they have too much money in their qualified plans. That's your IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, 457s, right? You are going to have to pay a lot of taxes. A lot of taxes in retirement if that's what you're doing. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't invest in those. They have their mathematical place, all right? They have advantages. But what it's important to understand is that whether you're 30 or whether you're 50 or whether you're 70, it is extremely important for you to have sources of income that are either tax-free or tax advantage. So what I want to do is kind of go over some things that we've been taught that maybe mathematically might not make sense. I want to talk about some of the facts and some tax statistics that we think are going to happen and we believe are going to go happen, and then maybe talk about some of the solutions that we can implement to make sure that at least you can do what you can. Now, in 1997, Congress introduced what's called the Taxpayer Relief Act. And that act said that you no longer have to pay taxes in retirement. Now, who is supposed to help you with that? Is your CPA talking to you about that? Is your financial planner talking to you about that? Right? And if you're sitting here watching this video and you're 65 or you're 55, you say, well, Cody, it's too late for me. I just have way too much money in tax-deferred accounts. No, you're not too skinny. You're not too fat. It's not too late. It's not too early. You're not too brown, black, or white. You can do this. Again, does it take some work? Yes, but it can be done. So let's talk about that. First of all, what I want to go over is the rest of the story. All right? Bear with me here. There's some numbers, but I promise you it's worth the time. So let's take the average couple who decided that they're going to invest in their 401k. Okay, and let's say that they put in $4,000 for a period of 30 years. You'll agree with me that's $120,000. Now we're going to assume they're in the 33 or 34% tax bracket, which means that each year they're going to have a total tax savings of $1,360. If we multiply that out by the 30-year contribution period, we get $40,800. That's how much money they're saving on their taxes. Great, that's why we do it. But let's take a look at the back end. So often I find that people are calculating on the front end, maybe they even don't, without really thinking about the ramifications on the back end. So let's assume this couple could earn 10% a year all those 30 years. That's pretty great stuff, right? So after a 30-year period, they're going to have a nest egg of $723,774. We'll also say that they're taking 10% just to have simple math, right? So they're going to be taking $72,000 per year, taxed at 33%, and their take-home is going to be $24,000. Why do I go through all this? Well, if we look at it in the first 20 months, every dollar of taxes that they saved will have to be paid back. And in fact, a person living a normal life expectancy will actually pay back about 10 times the taxes during their retirement years than they saved during their contribution years. A couple 65 to 85 will pay $500,000 in taxes for the privilege of saving $40,800. So think about that. What we like to tell people is, look, imagine you're a farmer. And you're sitting there drinking your coffee at 6 in the morning. There's bitter cold. You get a knock on the door. You open it up. It's the IRS. It says, hey, bud, I want to talk to you about how you want to pay your taxes going forward. I'm going to give you two choices. Number one, you can pay your taxes on the seed that you buy, right? The small seed that you buy. Or you can pay your taxes on the harvest that you reap at the end of the year. Okay, so let me get this straight. Pay taxes on a small seed or pay taxes on the huge harvest? Well, if it's me, I take the tax on the seed and I reap a tax-free harvest. But that's not what we're doing. And in fact, the IRS guy would probably say, well, why aren't you doing that with your money? That's what I want you to start thinking about. Why hasn't your employer or your financial planner that's working with you said, hey, let me take a look at your options in your 401k. Maybe you've got a Roth. All right, if you work for the government. You know, you can put $18,000 in a Roth 401k versus $5,500 in a regular Roth. There's a lot of power to that. Disclosure, I don't know your income situation, your expense situation. If you have special needs kids, I don't know all of that. What I want to have you do is just start thinking about it. Think about maybe there's some other options and stop really listening to financial dogma, right? Has your advisor already suggested you to start converting to a Roth? Maybe you've got a lot of money sitting in tax-deferred accounts and you're 50, 55, or 60. All right, there are some real legitimate and economical ways for you to start peeling money out of that, paying taxes on it. All right, think about it. So in order for you to do this, psychologically, I've found that you have to recognize that that money never belonged to you. If you have $1 million in your 401k, you don't have $1 million. You have about $650,000, and the quicker that you can grasp onto that, the better and faster it is for you that you'll make a decision on just getting the tax burden over with now, right? The IRS loans you those tax dollars to invest. What did we say earlier? You saved $40,000. The government knew that because they knew your account's going to grow over 30 or 40 years, and they're going to reap a windfall. The best retirement savings plan the government ever created were 401ks and IRAs. To date, there's like 6 or 7 trillion sitting in 401ks and IRAs. And right now, those tax dollars belong to the IRS. You have to get with that. You have to understand that. And they're going to continue to grow, and you're going to continue to have that substantial liability. Right now, if we look at historic income tax rates, and maybe you've heard this before, right now, top tax bracket is 39.6. If you add the AMT and the Medicare tax, and I don't know what state you're in, but maybe you're going to pay up to 50%. Did you know that the top tax brackets in this country are actually 94%? Historically, we were in some of the lowest tax brackets we've ever seen. Let's look at some. We have 20 trillion in debt that the government tells us, right? But we have 100 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Historically, how do governments get revenue from their citizens? Well, they tax them. All right, so we certainly think tax rates are going to go up. Don't forget that as you work, right? As you work, when you're contributing to your 401ks, your IRAs, they bump up the amount you can contribute based on a cost of living. The more that cost of living adjusts, the more you put in, the more tax liability you're going to have to owe. So one of the other myths that we see a lot is that whoever it was, your advisor or the financial media or HR, whatever, they say, hey, invest in your 401k and IRA now, you'll get the tax deduction, and then when you're in retirement, you'll be in a lower tax bracket. We find that that does not happen. Okay, number one, most people have paid the house off, so they lost that deduction. 2, they have fewer education deductions as the kids are through school, right? They have, if you run a business, you have fewer ordinary expenses that you can write off, and you virtually no medical expenses are deductible these days, and I think it's like 10% of gross income if they are. There's a lot of sneaky deductions. Like if you're making a lot of money, they phase out a lot of deductions too. So you have to understand that, guys. It's not impossible for you to get to a substantial tax-free retirement. Now, if you have a pension and some other things, there's nothing we can really do about that. But there are legitimate tools that you can implement now to reduce your tax liability. A few things. See maybe if there's a Roth 401k at your employer. If you can and you're not under if you're not over the income restrictions, invest in a Roth IRA. Take a look at cash value life insurance. After-tax brokerage accounts, if you hold it for a long enough period of time, you'll be taxed at long-term capital gains rates. Remember, I'm not your CPA. I'm not here to give you tax advice. I just want you to start thinking about it. If you're young like me, you might be saying, dude, I don't care about this. But put this planning in place now. It'll be a powerful benefit for you in the future, not only for you, but also for your family. If you have any more questions on this, you can PM me, call me, send me an email, and I'll be glad to help you. Thank you, guys.